All right, let's talk about one of the most powerful, most primal forces on our entire planet, volcanism. Seriously, this is a process that has been shaping our world for billions of years, building mountains from nothing and forging entire islands from the fire deep below. So let's dive in and see what makes these giants tick.
Think about this for a second. What single force is so powerful that it can create brand new land out of the ocean, but is also destructive enough to wipe an entire city off the map in a single afternoon? Yep, the answer is a volcano. And it's that incredible duality, right? The power to create and the power to destroy, that's what we're going to unpack. So to really understand what's happening on the surface, we've got to go deep. I mean, way deep inside the Earth, because that's where this whole story begins, in a place with heat and pressure that are almost impossible to imagine. Now, the one key term you got to know is volcanism. And this isn't just about the big flashy eruption at the end. No, volcanism is the entire story. It's every single process that's involved in moving that molten rock, we call it magma, from deep within the Earth's crust all the way up to the surface.
So what actually triggers an eruption? Well, think of it like a recipe with 4 crucial ingredients. First, deep underground, you've got insane heat and pressure that literally melts solid rock into magma. Second, gases get trapped inside that magma and they start to expand, building up this incredible pressure. You know, just like shaking up a can of soda. Third, our planet's tectonic plates are always moving, creating cracks and weaknesses. And finally, that super pressurized magma finds one of those weak spots and it starts its journey up.
And once that pressure hits a tipping point, there's really nowhere else for that magma to go but up. This next part of the story, it's all about that dramatic journey to the surface. We're calling it the Great Escape.
Okay, so the whole thing unfolds in a pretty clear sequence. First, that magma starts to pool in these huge underground chambers, just gathering and building up over time. As more gas gets trapped, the pressure becomes just immense. Then that pressurized magma forces its way up, pushing through any crack it can find in the crust until, boom, eruption, lava, gas, ash, everything is released. It's a process that can take thousands of years to build to that one single spectacular moment.
Now, once that magma actually makes it to the surface, this is where things get really interesting. See, not all volcanoes are created equal, not even close. In fact, they have wildly different shapes, different sizes, and totally different eruption styles. It's almost like they have their own fiery personalities.
This little cheat sheet breaks it down perfectly. You've got your massive shield volcanoes like the ones in Hawaii. They get that broad, gentle shape because their lava is super fluid and runny. Then, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you have those iconic, steep-sided composite volcanoes like Mount Fuji. Their magma is thicker, it's full of gas, and that leads to these massive, explosive eruptions. Cinder cones? They're much smaller, basically built from short little bursts of activity. And lava domes, well, that's when the lava is so thick and sticky it can barely flow at all, so it just piles up right over the opening.
So you see, a volcano's shape is a dead giveaway for its eruption style. And that style, whether it's going to be a gentle, flowing river of lava or a catastrophic explosion, it all comes down to the chemistry of the magma itself.
And the range is just huge. On the gentle end, you have Hawaiian eruptions, with those famous beautiful rivers of lava. In the middle, you get these more violent, short bursts, Strombolian and Volcanian eruptions, that basically fling out chunks of lava. But then you get to the most extreme end, the Plinian eruption. These are named for Pliny the Younger, the guy who actually wrote down what he saw when Mount Vesuvius buried Pompeii. These are the catastrophic ones, creating enormous ash clouds that can reach miles and miles up into the atmosphere.
Which, of course, brings us to the ultimate question about volcanoes. With all this incredible power, are they a force for good, or are they a force of destruction? And as you're about to see, the answer is, well, both.
This really is the ultimate paradox of volcanism. On one hand, they are creators. Their ash makes some of the most fertile soil on the planet. They're a source of clean geothermal energy. They literally build new land out of the sea. But on the other hand, the hazards are terrifying. Unstoppable lava flows, pyroclastic flows that move at hundreds of miles an hour, ash clouds that can ground global air travel for weeks, and even gas emissions that can change the climate.
You know, when you strip everything else away, it all comes back to this really simple, powerful truth. A volcano is just a rupture. It's a weak spot where the immense energy from inside our planet finds a way to vent to the surface. It's a totally natural and honestly an absolutely essential part of how our world works. So in the end, volcanoes are both the architects of our world and one of its most powerful destroyers. They work on a timescale that we can barely even comprehend. So the question for us isn't if the next big one will happen, because it will. The real question is, how do we choose to live alongside this immense power, a force of nature that can give with one hand and take away with the other?